Welcome back to the DFR resource and tutorials for our website, Daily Fantasy Rankings. This topic we're talking about is points against. Hef, let's talk about points against. What are we looking here on the website itself?
This is a really handy section when we're trying to work out whether players have got good or bad matchups. We've got a heap of data here looking at the general amount of points teams have scored against them. So look here at the first graph. We've got points against by team. This is a good overall figure. Obviously, you can see we've got 2 bars against each team there, one for the season points against average and one for the last 5 games. So this is the total amount of fantasy points that these teams have conceded on a per game basis. You can see last year there, the Gold Coast Suns were miles in front of everyone else. So players against Gold Coast were getting a huge opportunity to score fantasy points, as opposed to teams down the bottom there, such as Port Adelaide and West Coast. You can see there's 160, 180 points difference on average between the top and the bottom, and that's plenty of points to go around when you're trying to find players that are going to outperform their value.
Now,
that's the basic. That's the basic gist of it all.
Sure. So it's obviously handy this year if we're targeting teams that are leak against points, whereas against teams that don't tend to concede points. So that's great.
Right. You can see we've got last 5 games there as well. So to finish last season, North Melbourne and Melbourne, you can see they were far leakier in their last 5 games than in general through the season. So that's also nice. And so you just hovered over there, Essendon, who were really stingy towards the end of the season. So not only do you get an overall perspective from the season, but you get a bit of a last 5 game form portion to it as well, which can be really handy in certain cases.
Now, we can also, if I scroll down this particular page, we have also all these other graphs as well, including 100 plus scores conceded. So you can see here that obviously the more points you score, the more hundreds that you probably concede. So again, the Suns there lead the top down towards the Hawks down the bottom there.
That's a good one just to see how big you can expect your players to go against certain teams.
And then you've also got your positions as well, which includes your backs top 3 scores, and then through to your midfielders. So talking about through these midfielders, what's these numbers here represent here?
So this is, as you saw, for each position, we've got 3 different graphs. We've got a total, which is the average game score of all the players in that position against these teams. So there you see Gold Coast have an average of 91 points conceded. So that's across the whole set of midfielders playing against the Suns. When you look at the top 3 scores graph below it, that's like it implies it's the top 3 scores in that position against that team. So obviously you're going to see bigger numbers because these are the big players, but you can see in some cases the really gun players in that position might be scoring a very high amount, but the overall amount might be a bit lower. So some teams you might want to target the absolute guns, and some you might be able to find all the players in a certain position are scoring above what they usually should. So, and obviously the bottom 3 is the same concept. So that's really good for zeroing in on teams where some of the lesser lights might be more inclined to step up compared to usual. So where the Suns were very leaky in general, and especially against the guns, they weren't so bad at restricting the lower end, and teams like St Kilda and Melbourne in that case were a little bit leakier.
Now, obviously, throughout the season, these data will obviously update each round.
It does. It updates every round. And in terms of positions, we don't just go off what Draft Stars or Moneyball are designating. We've got guys who are watching all the games, and they're putting their custom positions in to try and get the most accurate data possible. We think it's the most accurate data on the internet that there is for AFL footy, and we hope you'll all come to appreciate it.
And just quickly, where do I find points against?
Points against is in the AFL resources. You can find it on the homepage there, or obviously you can go to the top bar, and you can also access it from the cheat sheets as well.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Hef. Thanks for talking about points against.